Hey everybody, this is Aisha from the House of Zephra. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a video in my bathroom because there are so many family members in this house right now during this quarantine that this is like the only area that's quiet and there's no one in it. So I hope everyone is doing well during their quarantine. I am. I sure am. So I had so many good things to tell you that I had to write them down. Usually I do my videos right off the cuff, but I didn't want to do that to you guys. So let me just start by saying that I've watched many sales videos, and a key component is that none of the sales videos talk about the psychological part of sales. All successful companies spend millions of dollars in psychological research in order to best market their product to a customer. If all the successful companies do this, why aren't you doing this for yourself? For your client? Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually studying psychology, and not getting like a 4-year degree in it or anything like that. Just some psychological courses to get to better know your customer. Because sales is a game of chess, not checkers. And you need more, when you have psychology in your background, that's more in your arsenal to help with any kind of disagreements you might have with your customer. You can overcome those disagreements with the customer using psychology. You need to understand what makes your clients tick as well. And in the information age, and it's nifty slogans and canned responses, it's not going to cut it. The client has so much access to information at their fingertips that the old sales techniques are not going to work. There's a science to it. For example, I worked for Swarovski, and I was shown a video where there was a focus group, and the focus group had to look at two crystal stones. One stone only had 4 facets or 4 cuts into the stone, and the second one had 50 facets or 50 cuts in the stone. And so what the researchers did is studied the focus group, the subject in this focus group, studied their eye dilation and studied the fact that they're with the stone that only had 4 facets, there's barely any eye dilation. And that means that there was not much communication between the eye and the brain as far as what it was seeing. And with the stone that had more than 50 facets, there was constant constriction and reduction in the pupil, constriction and dilation of the pupil, almost in a rhythmic way, which meant that the eye was seeing something very soothing, and that's what message was sending to the brain. So their research found that more facets that were in the stone meant not only that the customer was more likely going to purchase it, but that the customer was more likely going to be happy with it and be a repeat customer. So that is just a psychological example of how these companies work to get the customer to purchase anything, basically. I did a study also of what we call micro mannerisms. Now, micro mannerisms are the tiny mannerisms, even the twitching of the eye, the little bit of a grin in the lip, or maybe how the person's sitting or standing. Micromannerisms actually studies that on a very acute level. And what that means is that say the micromannerisms was actually performed by interrogators that interrogated people at Gitmo after 9/11. So they would interrogate potential terrorists to find more information. And if that person was emotionless, had a poker face, didn't show any mannerisms of whether they were being honest or telling a lie, they could sit completely still, but psychological research had determined that the body still will have mannerisms that come out, even to tell whether that person's lying or telling the truth. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about as far as the psychology of a sale. I'm going to use this sale presentation I did as an example. I had a customer that came in, this is when I worked at Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry. I had a customer that came in, and he approached me very slowly. He approached me right foot forward first, which means he's using his left brain to move his right leg, and the left brain, side of the brain, is more towards mathematics and art. So I knew I was dealing with a left brain thinking person. So that already was a micromannerism that I took away from even that person as they approached. And they approached very slowly, very cautiously. The customer's head was slightly tilted down like that, which is showing, it was not so much tilted down, it was just very slight, just to show that they were slightly intimidated. And when they approached me, their position of their hip was kind of like 15 degrees off from center. And he had his left hand clutched onto something, and he held his right hand up just a little bit, but not too much. And I could tell that he was protecting something very valuable to him, but his mannerisms said that he was almost too scared to show it. And I knew I had to change my voice inflection, change it to a softer tone, just by the way he approached me. I knew I had to make the sale more personable, because you have to get into this person's psyche, and that's what using psychology is getting into that person's mindset and kind of taking yourself out of your head, not thinking about your sales goal, what you made that day, or that you barely made any sales that month or anything like that. Taking yourself out of your mindset and putting yourself in the customer's mindset. And so I did not start with the normal, welcome to Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry, how may I help you? Or are you looking for anything special today? I said to him, you must be hiding something very special. I would love to know what it is. And he goes, yeah, it is kind of special. And he kind of looked down a little bit, and with the micromannerisms that I had studied, he had a slight grin on his right side of his cheek, which meant that it was something that he was proud of, but it's something that he was secretive about. So I said to him, it must be from a very special person for you to kind of guard it the way you do. He goes, "Oh, you noticed that? Yeah, I have my grandmother's stone here, and I want to use it towards an engagement ring, but I just don't know which engagement ring, which is a semi-mount. Like if the person already has a stone, you're looking for a semi-mount to put that stone into it and to make a ring. So he's looking for the semi-mount to put the stone in. And we were both standing up at the time, but as soon as he said, you know, his grandmother, it was his grandmother's, I slowly started to sit down and talk to him in a relaxed tone, and he slowly started to sit down as well, which meant that he began to trust me. And I said, "Tell me about your grandmother." And he goes, "Oh, she was the best. She was the best person ever. I lost her 2 years ago." I told him how sorry I was for his loss. He said, "Yes, it was a pretty big deal. I didn't have any parents. My parents passed away when I was very young, and my grandmother raised me. And so in her will, she left me this stone. And I have someone in my life that I really would like to propose to, but I just don't know what to do. I haven't found the right mounting or semi-mount for the stone. And then I don't even know how I'm going to propose to her." And so, do you see that as I sat down with him and we sat down together and I asked him to tell me about his grandmother, that he felt relaxed with me to tell me that story about how close he was with his grandmother, how his grandmother raised him. That's information that is in your arsenal now. You have information that is personable to this situation that you could probably use at a later point in a sales presentation. And after he talked about his grandmother, he stood back up again to look at the selection that we had in the case. And he kept his hands in his pocket, and he actually put his grandmother's stone back into his pocket, which meant in that little gesture there that he may not have trusted me enough yet, but when he stood up, he still may not have trusted me enough to sit back down, relax, and kind of show me the stone. So I had to kind of gain his trust, and I couldn't show him just any kind of mounting. It had to be the one that was going to be perfect for the stone. The stone was a marquee shaped stone, and I briefly saw it before he put it back in his pocket. So I knew that we had to find something complementary to that. And I knew the history of diamonds back then. Back then, during his grandmother's time, there was a lot more internally flawless diamonds floating around than there is today. And so I could tell with just a glimpse of the stone before he put it back in his pocket that it was an internally flawless stone. Probably E, which is colorless, or even higher than that, a C or B. And I watched his eyes move up and down the case. I literally stared at his eyes, and I remembered from the focus group from Swarovski to study the pupil dilation and the constriction of the eyes, and what was going to catch his eye and what wasn't. So as he's looking, I pulled out a semi-mount that was set in platinum, and it had 2 round brilliant stones on each side. And I pulled it out, and I said, I think this is the one you're looking for. He goes, how did you know that? And I knew that because his eyes just danced around this particular mounting that he was looking at. And I could also tell he had a little bit of a grin when I pulled it out of the case, because that means I was on his side. I had kind of earned his trust again. So he sat down and he pulled out his his grandmother's stone. And I took the prongs or tweezers that we use, and I perfectly set the stone in the semi-mount. And he goes, this is exactly what I picked out 2 weeks ago. And I said, why didn't you get it? He goes, wasn't sure. I wasn't for sure. And I said, I understand, because sometimes when you first look at something, you may be cautious about it, but you come back, I see that you've come back a second time just to reassure yourself that this is the right one. He goes, yeah, that's it. And he goes, that's the one. That's the one I want. And he goes, but now I'm nervous. I don't know how I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend. How am I gonna do this? And I don't know, me being an artist and being creative and thinking, and me being a salesperson, which I feel like salesperson people are artists themselves. They think out of the box, and I use thinking out of the box process. So I told him to take her to a cabin and propose to her either during the sunrise or the sunset. Either way, the sun will be barely up and the light will be overlooking some of the trees, so it just looks like it's all dewy and just everything is kind of glistening. So I told him to, kneel down and propose to her during that time. And he goes, why the cabin? I said, a cabin experience can be an intimate experience. You both have not gone camping together before, and it's something that you can do together. And plus, this is something that she will always remember. And later on, when you have kids, you can take them up to this camping spot where you propose. And he goes, that's a great idea. I never even thought about all this. And so it literally took me 90 minutes to close him. And he had been with a previous associate, and she said that she's been working with him for 3 weeks. But I closed him in 90 minutes. And 45 minutes of the 90 minutes that I took to close him was 45 minutes that it took for the jeweler to put the grandmother's stone inside the mounting. So I use psychology, I use the micro mannerisms. I studied my client, and I studied and I watched how he was looking and perceiving things, and I picked it up from there. So when you study your client, get into their head, find out what's going to unlock that key. It's kind of like when you're dealing with a client, think of their mind as a safe. And that safe has a combination to it. And you're the person with a stethoscope that's putting your stethoscope part up to the safe. You're trying to hear for the right combination. And you're trying to go back and forth to see what's going to unlock that particular lock, that safe. And I did not I just really tuned in onto this person's psyche. I tuned into his mannerisms. I unlocked the safe to get him to purchase something that he wanted. I didn't go to the most expensive stone semi-mount. I didn't go to the one that we were trying to push because we have too many of this particular ring in stock. I went towards the one that he chose. So psychologically, he chose his own ring. And I just led him and confirmed that choice for him. That's all. But I'm telling you, the use of psychology and micromannerisms have helped me close thousands of sales, has earned me thousands of dollars on deals, because I'm getting into the client's head. I'm playing chess, not checkers. And don't don't underestimate your client, because of this information age. Your client can get so much information and could go somewhere else so quickly. And now that we have this pandemic, there's so much downtime that I do encourage all salespeople to take that time and study, some psychology, study psychoanalysis, study micromannerisms, which you can Google and find out on YouTube. If you want more tips, I'll leave my email address at the bottom of this video, and I'll just let you know more information about how to be successful salesperson, how to close. And also subscribe to my videos and I will give you more information. Thank you. Bye-bye.